following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in to the Belly Up Fantasy Live football show on the Belly Up Sports Network. It is draft night, and as we speak, you can hear some sound from my computer. We got the fantasy football draft for the Belly Up Sports League is kicking off, and we want to give it to you live tonight and talk through everything that goes on. I'm Vince Stover, joined as I am every week by Kevin Wilson, the senior writer at BellyUpFantasySports.com, and also Brian Germinaro, the co-host of the 3rd and 10 podcast. Hey, guys, we're finally drafting. How about that?
Okay, let's get busy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I am too. You know, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's way too early to be drafting still. All my other leagues, I'm still got a couple of weeks before we get to them. But I'm so excited to get one drafted. And, man, we had some news break today as Jamar Chase, by the way, going number 1 overall, we anticipated. I want to talk to you guys real quick, though, while we got a second, about the Washington Commanders running back situation. Brian Robinson was a little further down on the list for all of us, but he was on our rankings, and it seems like right now, I think he's undraftable. I don't know, Kevin. What do you think?
Well, if there's no resolution to this, then hands off.
Yeah.
And when it's draft day, to me, if there's questions about just about any player, and he's not early on, so you know we can argue that a little bit. But there are enough questions here for me to say no, thank you, and hope you get it worked out. But for now, bye-bye.
Yeah, well, running backs are going to be an intriguing draft all night. DJ Stewart goes a little off script early on with Ashton Genty at number 2 overall. So we're going to see these running backs are going to be intriguing, I think, all night long. Brian, I know you hate to see NFC East teams doing weird things right before the start of the season. But what do you think about this Commanders running back situation?
I think it's interesting because Brian Robinson, I know he's never lived up to expectation, but he's kind of been decent. He's still relatively young. I would thought they would just kind of want to play the contract out before they made any brash decisions on what his future might be.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, it's strange because he's clearly not the only. I mean, he was always going to be partnered up with another running back, and so to kind of make this call seems really weird. Actually, for Green Bay, I'm hoping they go out and get him, honestly, because Marshawn Lloyd got hurt again. He's going to miss a number of weeks. The Packers need a solid number 2, and Brian Robinson would be an awesome number 2 to have in the stables, but I don't know that they'll do that. But nonetheless, we will see. We're on pick number 3. It looks like we're going to have our first auto pick of the night. Hector Flores from Insert Name FC has yet to arrive, so Bijan Robinson goes number 3. Which puts me on the clock at 4. And I'll tell you, I've been doing practice drafts, and this spot at number 4 I've come to hate. Not so much for the first pick, but what do I do in the second and third round becomes more of an issue than anything else. And so, but I've been in all these drafts that I've been doing, these practice drafts at number 4, I've gotten Jahmyr Gibbs in every single one of them. One time I tried CeeDee Lamb to see what happened in the rest of the draft. But ultimately, I just felt like the better value is Gibbs. So at 4, I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. What he did last year, we've talked about it. I think he's going to be just stellar. You know, all season long. I think he's going to get more touches as well. So I'm excited about having Jahmyr Gibbs on my fantasy team. It's going to have to be a hard time rooting for him as a Packer fan, but it'll be all right, right? That's how fantasy works.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Vince, because I had him, if you remember when we discussed this, I had him over Bijan. And because I like that offense better than I like Atlanta's. So even though he's got a much better running back behind him, but I still think that Jahmyr Gibbs is a solid guy at number 4. I would take him and be happy with it.
Yeah, we've gotten 4 picks in. We've got 3 running backs gone, 1 wide receiver gone. And for me, Justin Jefferson he's not a top 5 pick this year because of the quarterback situation. And I know I'm incredibly down on JJ McCarthy, and not everyone is. But Brian, how long do you think Justin Jefferson should last? I mean, if we get up with another auto pick, he'll probably be gone. But I mean, you still see him as a solid top 5, or do you have concerns about him too?
I mean, I have concerns anytime you have a young quarterback. There is always concerns. But with the tracker of Justin Jefferson, I think this is a guy that probably should go in like the late part of the first round. Maybe like if you're in a 12-man league like we are right now, pick 9 through 12. At worst, he should go at pick 16 in the second round.
Fair enough. Saquon Barkley goes, Jefferson goes 5. Saquon Barkley very quickly 6th. And honestly, for me at 4, it was going to be between Gibbs and Barkley probably all along. I think Barkley's going to have another really, really good year, and Philadelphia is always going to run the ball well. You question sometimes the passing, but definitely not the running. Kevin, you come into this draft, you get the turn, so we'll talk about that as you get to it, of course, as well. But the lead up to it, how excited were you to finally get a draft underway?
I'm very excited, and it's interesting. McCaffrey is the interesting pick to me in this draft. In the whole scenario, who's going to take a chance on him, and is somebody going to make that decision be mine?
Right.
And because I've done some practice drafts as well, and one of them, he was in fact there. So I had to make a decision. I think if he's still sitting there at the second round, wherever you're picking, you got to go with that.
Well, we're at pick 9 right now. Co-founder Blaine is on the clock at the moment. 4 receivers gone, 4 running backs gone. CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown go at 7 and 8. And Brian sitting at 10 is just praying that Malik Neighbors falls one more pick. I would guess. I could be wrong on that. But,
the options I had around this pick are on the board. So
okay.
Let's see what he does here. Oh, come on.
Oh, Blaine goes with.
I'm
surprised. He texted me a while ago and said he couldn't remember what his login was. I wasn't sure if he's going to make it to the draft. And he pulls out the Malik Neighbors pick at number 9. So Brian's on the clock now at 10.
I mean, I'm going to go with Puka. That was the backup. So
okay. So now we got a small run on receivers, 4 straight receivers: CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, and Puka Nacua. And I'll tell you, receivers is one of those positions when I was doing these practice drafts that I'm going, man, once you get past about pick 13 or 14, it's slim pickings. You're getting guys that you have to, they're boom or bust basically after that.
Okay, so the scenario that I mapped out is in fact in play because I'm on the clock, and guess who's sitting there? And that would be CMC. So,
Nico Collins, by the way, goes number 11.
Nico Collins was the guy I was thinking I would go with. And these receivers I like Thomas.
Yeah, so on the clock right now, Brian Thomas, A.J. Brown, Drake London. Running backs, you got McCaffrey, Achane, Taylor, Jacobs, Henry. You got tight end Brock Bowers still on the board, of course, as well.
Okay. So it comes down to me to be between Thomas and London with this pick because there's a Q after Brown. I don't like taking first-round picks with a Q. So I'm going to go with Thomas right here. And I'm right back on the clock. And as I was just saying, I don't see how in the second round you can let Christian McCaffrey slide by you. So I'm not going to let it happen. And I'm going to go ahead and do it.
So Christian McCaffrey, the first pick in the second round. And, of course, news will break tomorrow of an ACL tear or something like that.
Well, that's the chance that we're taking. We know this.
Right.
You have to have your eyes open whenever you're taking them. But as I said, in the second round, I can live with that. Because let's say it does happen. Well, he was a second-round pick. So I can live with that a little more. And if he balls out, well, he was a second-round pick, and I can definitely live with that. So
Jonathan Taylor goes with the second pick in the second round, pick 14 overall. He will continue to be my favorite second-round pick is Jonathan Taylor. I just love the fact that You can always get him in the second round. I knew I wasn't going to get him where I was picking in the second round, but I think, let's talk about this. Brian, you're on the clock, I know, but
Yeah.
Daniel Jones gets announced the starter in Indianapolis. So when you're looking at Indianapolis players, whether it's Jonathan Taylor, who just got picked, we got some receivers, we got a rookie tight end. Like, how are you measuring the Indianapolis offense, knowing for sure now that Daniel is going to be the quarterback there week 1?
Me. Yeah, I was going to think about taking Jonathan Taylor at that pick because Daniel Jones, he needs a strong running back to be successful. So kind of upset he went there. Taylor's kind of the only guy.
10 seconds, Brian.
Yeah, I just picked Devon Achane. So Taylor was the only guy I was even considering for the Colts war. I think he's the only guy that gets elevated by the Daniel Jones thing. Outside of that, I think Warren kind of stays where he is, and the receivers maybe drop a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, me and Kevin were on a live draft once for baseball, and the guy was on interviewing with us and didn't realize he was on the clock.
That's right. And that's right. So we want to make sure that does not occur.
No. I wanted to make sure. So Achane's the pick. I know he's got it questionable right now, but kind of seems like they're being abundantly cautious with him. He's going to be, I think, the best kind of skill player in that whole Dolphins offense. He's the only guy I really trust because you don't know what the receiver's going to do with the Tua situation. If Tua gets hurt, like I said, Tyreek's lost that step. I think they're going to revolve on Achane pretty heavily.
So in the second round so far, 4 picks are gone. McCaffrey, Taylor, Achane, and then A.J. Brown, the receiver with the Q next to his name as of this moment, gets taken 4th overall. And I'm really intrigued. So right now I got 4 picks before me. I've got someone that I really, really want, and I've got someone else that I feel like I have to take if he's there, and they're not the same people. And so I'm sitting there going, I kind of want them to take these people. Brock Bowers off the board, tight end 1, round 2, pick 5, 17 overall. Josh, let's see here, who is that? Josh Jacobs goes there. It confused me. His last name was Henry, and his first name is D. I thought, wait, Henry, what? Okay, no. Josh Jacobs gone. Bruce Irving's gone. Running backs flying off the board. So I get to go with the guy that I absolutely want. Most people will consider this too early, but where I've got the turn and I still got a few picks to wait after that, I just think it's too hard to pass up on Trayvon Henderson. Where he sits and what he's doing right now in this preseason has been phenomenal. Where he's going to land in the offense, he's going to do some special teams things too, where he could earn some points also. I really feel like Henderson has to be a round 2 pick. And so Josh Jacobs was the other guy that I was considering at that spot. If he got to me, I felt like I would have had to take him over Henderson. But ultimately, Trayvon Henderson to me is the go-to rookie at this moment outside of course, Genty. I don't know, Brian. I mean, the way the Patriots have used him so far and what he's shown has just been incredible.
Yeah, I don't. You said this is a crazy pick. I don't think it is. Like, we have to remember, we are doing the draft a little bit early. There's still another preseason game to go. There's a good chance when you're drafting, like, the week of week 1 or Labor Day weekend, that Henderson has a big game against the Giants on Thursday and is a bona fide second round pick. So this could come back as a really good pick for you.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
At least.
If it was me in that spot, I think I would have waited to the 3rd.
Yeah.
Because I have heard no one else besides you mention him as a second round pick.
Well, DJ will be on in a moment, but DJ drafted Ashton Genty with his 2nd overall pick, and I had a feeling maybe he was loving himself some rookie running backs, and he picks twice in between my next pick.
We'll have to see what he has to say.
Yeah.
And, but
Derrick
when it
Henry,
comes down to it, you take the guy that you want.
Correct.
And boo anybody else, whatever. They can sit there and say, well, that's crazy, but it's your pick. And if you're happy, then that's all that matters.
Derrick Henry goes right after my Trayvon Henderson pick. He was obviously a consideration as well. Trey McBride, tight end 2 off the board. We got 2 tight ends in round 2. Not a total surprise, but I'm intrigued to get the thoughts on 2 tight ends in the second round, Kevin.
I could buy Bowers, but I think that and I like McBride. And as we discussed, he'll get more than 1 touchdown before week 17.
Yeah.
But I think the second round is a little early for tight end. So I would have probably waited for that. And so that's the way I was thinking, that if I was around the turn and I liked him, which I do, the third round is where I'd shoot to go after him.
Yeah, we see Kelsey here. He's in the league drafting with us right now. And he says, I like the Henderson pick, was hoping a round 3 steal could happen. Vince beat me to it. So, yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay,
everyone
so,
had him.
You had a plan, and it worked out for you.
Yeah, and I have been paying attention. I'm on the board now. So this is another guy.
They took
real
way
quick.
too early.
Yeah, real quick. We got Derrick Henry, Trey McBride, Josh Allen to round out the top second round. Then Tyreek Hill, Ladd McConkey, and Chase Brown. First 3 here in this one. Another player that I've been getting in every single one of my practice drafts in the third round. And I knew wide receiver was going to be one of these. If I didn't get him in the first, it was going to be a little fishy from then on out. But I've been targeting this guy. I've been massively huge on his quarterback, Sam Darnold, and I'm just not going to let him get past me here either. So Jackson Smith and Jigba, I just feel like Darnold is going to have another 37 to 4,000 yard season, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be the guy catching most of those.
Wow.
Well, you know who I'm a fan of, so I will not criticize this pick one iota.
All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to add another person to the screen. We're going to bring in, let's see here. Maybe we'll do it this way. Bring in DJ Stewart. DJ, welcome to the show. Welcome to the draft. Let me look real quick and get a reminder. So far, DJ has drafted Ashton Jeanty, Trey McBride, and Ladd McConkey through 3 rounds. DJ, are you happy with your first 3 rounds so far?
You know what? I can't complain. Ashton Jeanty was obviously a bit of a reach. I know there's probably immediately people chase me with pitchforks, but I was ready for that one because I look at the opportunity he has in that offense. Geno Smith threw 100 targets to running backs last year. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to get involved in the passing game. He's not just going to be a battering ram. He will be a battering ram. Pete Carroll's going to feed him. It could be a lot of like rookie Zeke Elliott running backs type of production. And I think rookie running backs that produce, they either tend to be like Bijan last year, RB 15, 12, safe, decent, or they're top 5 like Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, and those. And I can't see Ashton Jeanty being a bust or one of those guys that doesn't even do that. So that just felt super safe. Trey McBride, probably a bit of a reach, probably not there. But when you're picking at the 2-3 swing like that, I'm not going to get him again. So it's like, all right, I'm going to have a huge advantage at tight end here over most of the league. So I'll take that opportunity. And Ladd McConkey is going to be receiver number 1 with Justin Herbert. It's kind of tough. Receiver's a weird spot after that first round. Everybody else is kind of in a similar vein.
All right.
So that's kind of how I felt comfortable with that.
We've had a bit of run on quarterbacks here. Josh Allen went in the second round, into the second round. In the third round, now we've had 3 more quarterbacks go. Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurt went 3.7, 3.9, and 3.11. Also going in the third round, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, James Cook, Kyron Williams. And, of course, Kevin Wilson cannot do a draft without drafting a Wilson. He takes Garrett Wilson to round out the third round on that one.
Because he's the wide receiver 1 in that offense, and I have some concerns about any Ram receiver at this point. And I've talked up Walker a lot, but he was a league winner for me last year. The 4th round may be a little rich, but I'm going to go ahead and get me Joe Burrow right now. And ride with it, because he's a guy that we saw it yesterday on both ends, where the offense looked great, the defense was deplorable to the extent that I've never seen before. Because Washington had 4 plays and scored out of 80 yards. So we know that Joe Burrow's going to have to throw the ball all over the place for them to have any shot. So that's a little early I don't usually like to take a quarterback till maybe the 5th round, but I just cannot ignore Joe Burrow sitting there at the 4th round.
We got 2 guys currently on auto draft. Kevin Langley, he's got 3 wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Drake London, T. Higgins. And then Hector Flores has 3 running backs, Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry, and Chase Brown. It kind of shows you that auto pick can get you some really good players. But your versatility might be a little limited. I guess it depends on how these guys break out, how they do, and all that kind of good stuff as well. DJ, coming into the day, it's still a little early for a draft in my opinion, at the very least, but we had to do it for content purposes. Was there anything that scared you going in? We had the Commanders running back situation. We had QB1s getting announced. Joe Flacco gets announced. Daniel Jones gets announced that as well. Was there anything that has you really questioning, okay, this is going to impact how I draft, whether it's an unknown thing or some of the known things that we now have come up?
Well, say Daniel Jones getting announced scared me off of every single Colts player not named Jonathan Taylor. Maybe Tyler Warren's the exception because Daniel Jones will throw the ball 3 yards to him so he can feel safe.
DJ, you took the words out of my mouth. I said the exact same thing.
Not that I really trusted them with Anthony Richardson much better, but you had that random 30-yard perfectly on the money ball that AR is good for once every 17 passes. So at least there was a little bit of boom factor there. But now we're not touching any of them. I think Joe Flacco makes Browns players somewhat relevant, especially David Njoku. I think David Njoku, when he was with Flacco, was tight end 7 during that run towards the end of the year. So I think if I didn't already overdraft a tight end, I think he's very much on the board. So not too much has changed. I'm avoiding the Colts minus Tyler Warren at this point at all costs.
4th round, Joe Burrow went first with Kevin Wilson. Omari and Hampton came next. Then Mike Evans, Alvin Kamara, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Marvin Harrison Jr., and George Kittle off the board. And we're at my pick, and this was my least favorite spot to draft in all my practice drafts right now. Guys on the top of the board right now: Devontae Adams, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, Rashee Rice, Breece Hall, to name a few. And it's just a weird spot of the draft where I'm sitting here going, I don't love any of these guys, but I got to pick one. And the guy that I've kind of been supporting all along this offseason, again, it's a little bit rich, but I'm going to do it anyways. Another running back, Breece Hall from the Jets. Kind of the same thought of the Taylor, philosophy is they've got some people there, they've got some receivers and things, but ultimately, in order for the Jets to succeed, Breece Hall has to have a phenomenal year, and I'm intrigued to see how he does. So I don't know. I know it's a different team in New York, Brian, than the one you cheer for, but I know we talked a lot about Justin Fields on this show as well. But
on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah. But Breece Hall, it feels like running back is the one position you can actually survive a little bit with questionable quarterback play.
Oh, 100%. Because if the quarterback has an off game or struggles, they're just going to rely on that bell cow running back to carry them. I can see probably 6 or 7 times this season the Jets are going to have to give Breece Hall a bunch of carries like a bell cow back in order to make up for Justin Fields' inability to move the ball.
Let's not talk too much about that because I took Wilson. And I think because I talked up Justin Fields last week, if you remember, I'm feeling better about him. And so I didn't take him because he's a Wilson, but I thought that point in the draft, he was the best option.
One thing we know about
DJ's back on the clock here.
For all of his faults, he will force the ball to receiver 1, which we saw him do a lot with my next draft pick, which will be DJ Moore. So I think that is one thing that Justin Fields does well is he throws it to receiver 1. So Garrett Wilson will be well, and hopefully Caleb Williams does it with DJ Moore too.
All right, so let's talk about Bears receivers right now because DJ Moore is the scariest one, I think, of the group, just because you get this new regime come in. And I think Ben Johnson will be wise with how he uses the weapons, but I'm curious, is there any fear that maybe Rome Odunze and Luther Burden will get more looks than DJ Moore? Obviously, you drafted DJ Moore, so I'd assume no.
I had to draft him for namesake purposes, of course, and because I needed receivers. And this is the weird spot with receivers where if I sit, they won't be there, so I have to reach a little bit. I would have preferred him mid-round 5, but here you got to take a little bit of a gamble. I think his ability with the ball in his hands, it's going to be too hard to resist. Just those little screens, the little flip the ball to him in space, just giving him opportunities to run after they catch it. I think they're going to find ways to get him the ball still. It might not be as dynamic, but I still think he'll get his. I think he's too dynamic, at least for this year. Long term, I think he's well on his way out, like you said, with Luther Burden and those guys.
Rounding out round 4, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Chuba Hubbard. Starting into round 5, James Conner, Calvin Ridley, Xavier Worthy. And that KC receiver group was another one that I was trying to figure out. Oh, I'm on the clock. Was between Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I think both of them. I think Worthy could have an incredible year. But I'm still just a little concerned about some of the stuff going on there. I don't love the receivers sitting right here, and I still feel like I can get better value at quarterback later on. So I'm going to go ahead and take my tight end here in round number 4, and that's Sam Laporta from Detroit. The biggest worry I have is I have a running back from Detroit and now a tight end from Detroit, and I sure hope the Lions can still have some offense without Ben Johnson around. And Kevin, something we messaged about later last week was week 8, the bye week. DJ, you're a bye week fiend. Week 8 is a crazy week for bye weeks. There's a lot of really good fantasy players on week 8. Kevin, you wrote an article on the bye weeks and stuff as well. What are your thoughts on watching these bye weeks?
Well, early on, you don't really need to be concerned about that at all, unless you're taking 3 players right off the bat that are on week 8. But
Like
other than that,
Smith and
but
Jigba.
you do need to be aware of bye weeks. So just be aware of it. And if you take a couple of guys that are week 8 later, you're going to have to diverge a little bit, I think. And the point that I made in my article, that I really don't understand why the NFL can't have all 4 teams from the same division on bye on the same week, is something that has baffled me ever since they started this. But that's a discussion. Like I said, it's a discussion for another day, I guess. But you need to be aware of when teams are on bye, so that when you're drafting, you don't wind up with 5 guys on the same bye week, because then you're going to be scrambling. And unless you're in an 8-team league, there's not a lot of picks you're going to have. So in a 12-team league, you need to be aware of it, in my opinion. So
as Kevin prepares to make his pick on the turn, we've had DeAndre Swift go at pick 5 in the 5th round, followed by Baker Mayfield, Devontae Smith, David Montgomery going in the 5th round as well, Cortland Sutton, Ted McMillan, and Zay Flowers. I'm intrigued by the Chris Prince goes with David Montgomery, pick 8 overall in the 5th round. Brian, too early, right on time? How do you feel about the Montgomery pick?
I think it's a little early for him just because, he's going to get the numbers of touchdowns, but he is a handcuff guy. There was probably better options on the board. He probably guy you probably could have waited on for him. So don't love it, but I get the upside with his touchdowns.
DJ, what's your thoughts on these young receivers? We talked a lot about rookie running backs, but Ted McMillan comes in now. He's a 5th round draft pick in fantasy. He goes to Brian, actually. But DJ, what's your thought on these young receivers?
I'm gonna keep reserve some of the names because I like some of them I might be looking at later, and I'm not gonna give names directly because I don't need someone taking them. But I like
come on, DJ.
I like Ted McMillan a lot. That's a good spot for him. Bryce is gonna throw on the ball. There's a lot of really good young guys I think could be. I don't like to say league winner and throw that around. I think it's a little bit too common nomenclature, but I do think there are a lot of guys that could depend on how bye we shake out. Maybe you have a bunch of week 8s. You have a rookie with a different bye week. He saves you that week because week 8 he's hit his stride. So I think there's a lot of really good options. I don't think there's any Malik Neighbors or rookie Jamar Chase, but I think there's a lot of really, really good that I think can more than suffice. So I like a lot of these guys. Not going to name them because I don't need someone stealing.
Right. Kevin, you went with George Pickens and TJ Hawkinson on the turn back to back. Let's talk about George Pickens at Dallas and your thoughts with your comfort level with taking him there.
At first, I was not really in on Pickens when he first came to Dallas, but I think Dak is going to make that work, and I think that they're going to have to send 3 defensive backs over there for CeeDee Lamb, so he's going to be open a lot. And as long as Dak can stay healthy, I think that he's in for a huge season. And when it comes to Hawkinson, he's one of the great tight ends, and he's a year removed from injury, so I think there's a ton of value to be had in this round for him. So I probably need a running back a little more than a tight end, but I just couldn't see letting him slide any further. The value was too good, even with JJ back there. But as we said, a young guy likes to throw to a tight end, and there's there's players better than him, but there are slight few. So I think that's a great pick for me in this round. So that's why I did that.
DJ, I know we still have a long draft to go, but one of the reason why we have people on during the draft is to kind of talk some strategy. So let's talk specifically to people picking up there where you are, 2nd overall, somewhere in that top 3 range maybe. How do you decide your philosophy on how you're going to kind of lay out the draft? How much of it is see how it falls to you and how much of it is pre-planned?
start by saying I hate pick number 2 so much. I demanded a recount, but I unfortunately lost that that role. But I think the most important thing you got to look at there is how much do you value the guys you'll be looking at later on those swings, because you wait a long time between those picks. So for me, I looked at it. There's more top tier receivers than running backs. So I knew I had to pick between one of them. Like I think there's 3 running backs where it's like, oh yeah, those are my guys. But there's like 7 receivers I feel really comfortable with. So that's why I decided to go running back there. While I think receivers more valuable, because I knew I could pick up more competent receivers later on that could be comparable. So I think that's the first thing is you got to determine which one you prepare for in that case. And then I also look at bye weeks a little bit too, because I don't like to stack too many week 8 bye weeks or week 14, which is a travesty. That's when playoffs start. Whoever decided week 14 bye weeks was a good thing is abominable, and I'm upset with it, especially because they can't say we don't care about fantasy football when every other commercial is fantasy or gambling, so they care.
That's right.
So
let's talk about the pick you just made here of Tyrone Tracy, and then we're going to let you go. But we've talked a lot about Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatterbo here this off season. Kind of same question as confidence level wise. Obviously, you picked him, so you're confident in him. But your thoughts are any worry about the fact that they drafted Cam Scatterbo and what he might do?
Not too much. I think Tyrone Tracy's I kind of picked him for his receiving potential anyway. I think he's gonna get a lot of those third down checkdowns. I think they're gonna try and build the offense around the running back in that case too. So I think a lot of his value will still be there for me. He's also not somebody I want to live or die by. That was more of just filling out the running back core at that spot, and he was the main guy available. I'm also going to take a guy that's completely the opposite right now in Caleb Johnson, speaking of rookie running backs, who will not be getting the ball thrown to him whatsoever. So that's who. So that's kind of actually I'm not on the clock. Nate's on the clock.
Yeah. So
Nate's going to take that. Nate's going to take it from me because I opened my mouth like that. But I would say I think his ability to be utilized in the passing game makes him valuable, especially as a flex option. But I think now I will take Caleb Johnson the exact opposite now that Nate didn't take him, because I think they're two sides of different coins with polar
All right.
opposites.
So when we were live, DJ, you said, damn it, Kevin. Well, I'm returning the favor because that was a guy I have consistently drafted when I was doing mock draft. So you got him instead of me. So
I had to at this point because I let running back slip a little bit, but I get it. He's such a really good value in round 7 because worst case scenario is he's David Montgomery. It feels like best case scenario is he's getting the ball a ton.
So, DJ, thanks for coming on, by the way. And in the middle of the draft, it's always a little difficult too. So I appreciate that. Why don't you tell everybody about your show? We've got your co-host coming on here in just a second, but so try to make it, as pretty as possible, because when your co-host comes on, it'll drop a little bit. So let the people know about High Low Sports and where they can find all your content that you're putting out as well.
Absolutely. Well, myself and my co-host, which you are all soon to meet here very momentarily when I get done rambling, we go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Right now, we're doing our season preview countdowns where we go division by division, break down their records, what we think they'll do. We'll talk about some good futures bets, talk about players we're definitely not touching. I'm going to complain about Daniel Jones for a 6-minute opening monologue tomorrow. Then tomorrow, we'll be talking about the NFC and the AFC East. So you definitely want to tune in for that. We will have our own fantasy football live draft next week as well. So definitely tune in for that. You can catch us every Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page, the Belly Up Sports Twitter page, and then on YouTube the following day. But Kelsey will definitely be able to tell you more about that for sure. He's the light of the show, and he'll be coming in to bring a little bit of spark.
DJ, if you need someone to complain about Daniel Jones too, I lived it for 6 years. I'm an expert in it. I can deal with all your problems. I know exactly how you feel.
You know too well. I don't need to bring that PTSD on you.
Well.
Like
my fantasy name is Daniel Jones Ruins Football.
That's
tell you all you need to know.
Man's about to have his 70th career start and his best career season. He wasn't good in college, and yet here he is with 70 NFL starts coming up. He didn't have 3,000 yards once in college. This is a fantasy football show. You're kicking me out for Kelsey.
He resembled
I'm going to be going on for a long time.
Dave picked him. That's it. He had very little comparisons to Eli. It's like, well, this must be the next Eli then.
He has the same quarterback coach in college as the Mannings do, and suddenly like, oh, he's great. Take him number 6.
Exactly.
He even looks like great value, Eli Manning. Throw him in there. He even runs goofy. No, here we go. And now he's going to win 8 games just to annoy me, and they're going to be stuck in purgatory again. But that's enough of my complaining. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It was an absolute pleasure. Kevin, please don't take any more of my picks moving forward.
I'll try and keep that under control, DJ.
It's all good.
Thanks,
Thank you all
DJ.
so much for having me.
Appreciate you, man. All right. DJ is out real quick. Let's do a quick rundown of where we're at in the draft. So we're in round 7 now. Round 6 went like this: TJ Hawkinson, Jerry Jeudy, RJ Harvey, Tony Pollard, Patrick Mahomes, Jamison Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones, Matthew Golden, Travis Kelce, Tyrone Tracy, Mark Andrews, and in the 7th round so far, Jacoby Myers, Caleb Johnson, Bo Nix, Travis Hunter, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Jalen Waddle, Rashee Rice, David Njoku goes off the board at 7.9 to Mr. Blaine. That was your pick?
Yeah, I was gonna pick Njoku. He said he stole it.
He snagged him right up from beneath you. Brian Germinaro is on the board at pick 82. It's the 10th pick in the 7th round. He goes quarterback Justin Herbert. Okay, so let's talk about quarterbacks real quick before we bring Kelsey on. So right now, 2 of the 3 guys on the screen have quarterbacks. Joe Burrow to Kevin in the 4th round, Justin Herbert to Brian in the 7th round. We talked about being patient with quarterbacks. Do you guys feel like you've been patient with quarterbacks?
I would like to wait longer. I just didn't love the options in front of me, so I decided that if you don't like what's in front of you, just take the guy you want and don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
And I certainly wasn't patient because I went in the 4th round, which I think is way earlier than I like to. But in most drafts, quarterbacks start coming off the board maybe 3rd round.
Yeah.
And that I participated in. But I just didn't want to wait for Joe Burrow. I think he won me my league a year ago. So that's why I did that.
I'd like it better if they stopped playing them in the preseason. But
that would be great. Would be great. And I know that I talked about Chris Olave, and I didn't like him so much, but he's the number 1 receiver down there at round number 7. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that.
Kevin's on the turn, and we're going to bring Kelsey up on here now as well.
Okay, so
Kelsey,
now
I'm sure you didn't hear before. I was saying wonderful things about you before you were sitting backstage.
That's right.
Absolutely. There's no way there was anything bad, right?
Yeah, glad to have you on, man. And Kevin just went Olave Eckler back to back. That's an interesting pick, Kevin. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, so that was, we just got done talking about Mr. Robinson.
Yeah.
And we know that he can catch balls. He's always been good at that. And if there's any issue with Brian Robinson, then I think that they're going to throw some passes, and he knows what to do with the ball. I needed a running back, and I didn't like the guys. I don't like Stevenson. Judkins is a problem. Mixon has a question mark by his name, so I wasn't going to do that. And so and Williams, I don't trust him. So I thought, okay, I know Eckler's older, but he's done it. So in the 8th round, let's give it a shot.
Okay, very good. DJ, let's talk about Kelsey. Let's talk about your draft real quick. You started off Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, Terry McLaurin, Marvin Harrison Jr., Baker Mayfield, Isaiah Pacheco, and you got a 2nd quarterback in Brock Purdy as well. Happy with your draft so far?
No, but that's because I'm picking 5th. So I don't think that surprises anybody. At the middle of the draft, if you love the middle of the draft, I might have questions for you. Because it's the hardest part to pick, because you're waiting to see who falls to you, which is really what I end up doing with that pick. With DJ going Ashton Genty early, it gave me Saquon, which was a gift. That doesn't normally happen at 5, right?
Right.
But then on the turn, it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I double up here? Do I think to get a younger receiver maybe later? What's my options? I don't love the receivers on that wrap on 2nd round again.
Yep.
It's always hard. So I don't know. I never have a tendency. It's just trying to see what I fall into and then see what happens. You guys had talked about bye weeks, though, a minute ago, and I didn't look at it first. This is where I struggle with, right? My first 3 picks, I did not pay attention whatsoever. I think it was first 4 picks. End up with my quarterback and both running backs, week 9 bye weeks.
Yep.
So that's the reasoning behind you to look at Pacheco and you look at Purdy coming on my roster. It's because, well, now I need good guys to fill in for week 9. And I don't love that part of the draft either. Vince, you talked about it, that round 5, 6, 7 era.
Yep.
Especially middle of the pack. It's like, what do you really want to do? You don't want to reach too far, but you do want to still get your guy. I figured that's a better option, but I don't love it. I'll be honest, I don't love it, but I can live with it.
DJ comments, by the way, it's gone for all 5 seconds, and Brian has already taken his guy. So.
Thank you, Brian.
This is a win.
It's always good to know that other people wanted the same people you wanted, at the very least. But yeah, Saquon coming to you at 6 actually is where you're at, Kelsey.
Oh,
Just
yeah, 6, yeah.
breaking news. But that is a steal. I love the Bucky Irving pick as well in the second round. I had him last year and kind of got lucky on getting him last year, and I think he's going to have another big year. We're in round 8. Colston Loveland, Roma Dunze, Bears back-to-back. Jaylen Warren, Chris Godwin off the board so far in the 8th round. I'm curious, has there been any picks so far, Kelsey? Tyler Warren, you just take, which I really was hoping to get him, but I don't know that I was probably looking at the turn, so who knows? I probably wouldn't have gotten him anyhow. But have there been anything that you've been watching during this draft so far that stuck out to you, Kelsey, that you're kind of either head scratcher or like, wow, what a move, those kinds of things?
No, nothing. I mean, look, your Trayvon pick I don't think is surprising to me because you and I talked about this Fantasy Football Expo weekend. It was, and obviously if anybody hasn't seen what he did on his opening touch of the preseason, that's the exact reason we were talking about him. Taking it to the house on a kickoff. Like, he's so explosive, so he enables Drake May to do what he should be able to do if everybody expects Drake May to be great. I think that's probably the one I look at as like, that's the best move so far because I thought I was going to steal him at 3. I thought that was a reach from everybody. And so for you to predict that somebody's going to try that in round 3 and to do that in round 2 and take that, because most people think round 2, you got to get your home run pick. Kevin, on the other hand, Kevin, I liked what you said about the back end part of it. CMC in a round 2, it's fine to drop him. Well, when you're on the other side of round 2 where Vince is, you really have to assure where you want to be. And I like that Trayvon pick as far as I think that's going to give you the best opportunity for a kind of surprise rookie that nobody is looking at in round 2. That's kind of the one I love the most. But yeah, I mean, I don't, nothing else really surprised me yet. Although I might surprise people here coming up in the next couple of rounds. I do think that's going to happen.
Felt like with Henderson, I felt like the closer we got to the season, the higher he's going to rise up boards. Like, the more we see him in the preseason, the more people are going to want to get him. And so my other drafts that I do, I don't know that he'll be available at that same number even. Honestly, there might be more people looking at him in that same range once we see another game. And we're at this point here, we're at pick 93, and I just don't like the guys at the top of the board right now. Pittman, I'm not a Cooper Kupp guy this year. Evan Ingram, he'll probably do fine. Quinshon Judkins, when's he going to sign his contract? Dobbins, I don't trust. Stevenson, I don't trust. Javonte Williams, I don't want. So a guy that I was high on in the draft and a guy that I'm huge on this year, and McMillan gets injured in Tampa, so that opens more opportunity for Emeka Egbuka here as well. And to me, he was my number 1 rated receiver in the real draft this year, and I'm just super huge on him. I got Matthew Golden earlier in the draft. I don't love having multiple rookies, but it's the way it works sometimes. Brian, give me your thoughts. I know you and Kevin were big Mike Evans guys, more so than I was this year. What's your thoughts on Egbuka being at this point in the draft? We're in round 8.
I'm such a Mike Evans guy. I took him in this draft, but yeah, no, I think it's a good round for Egbuka because now is a round where you kind of start focusing on your bench. You kind of lean towards guys that might have higher ceilings, or the high floors. You kind of this is where you take them. And I think Egbuka fits that really well. I think he could be a guy that won't be wide receiver 1 this year, but can make an impact with Baker Mayfield in that offense.
Kelsey, you had a few different facial expressions during that conversation. What are your thoughts on Egbuka?
No, I love Egbuka. I was hoping, this is again another one I'm hoping to wrap around to me. As a guy who took Baker, right? That's like my thing. As I took Baker, so I'm looking for his target. Mike Evans has always been a walking 1,007 touchdown guy minimum. That's fantasy gold. And now you're talking about Emeka Egbuka coming in, taking in, like you said, for McMillan, taking in for what's there from Godwin, not really being not going to be playing this year at all. So he's going to step up. We saw what he could do in college. He has the same explosiveness going forward. It's a guy that I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to get him. But no, yet again, a round too late.
I've missed a few here. So 8th round, Austin Eckler, Colston Loveland, Roma Dunze, Jaylen Warren, Chris Godwin, Joe Mixon, Tyler Warren, Drake May goes in the 8th round. Emeka Egbuka, Michael Pittman Jr., Dak Prescott, and J.K. Dobbins to round out the 8th. And we're turning the corner now. Nate Nguyen goes back-to-back running backs, Dobbins in the 8th, Travis Etienne in the 9th. Now Ricky Pearsall and Cooper Kupp go, which brings back to me, and I almost exited out of my draft, which probably would have not been ideal. But I'm going to go with Debo here. The McLaurin stuff still just worries me to some degree, and if he's not there, then I like Debo a lot. If McLaurin's there, I fade Debo a bit. But I'm going to have to take some chances at some point because I got a ton of young receivers, and I need somebody who's done it before up there as well. But, Kelsey, you're back on the clock now. What's the thought process here in round 9?
Yeah, so, all right. This is where I said I'm going to surprise somebody. I obviously just talked about Emeka. I'm not going to get him. Right, I know that's not going to happen. So I'm looking at my team. I don't have 2 positions filled. Everybody waits on defense. Everybody waits on kickers. I am a different philosophy, and it's because if you look at stats, you look at the scoring per year, kickers produce the same as what you'd get in this round when it comes to total points. I just want everybody to think about that. And now you talk in extra distance. You talk in bonus points for distance, field goals. Those things matter. You get attempt points also for 40+. So when you weigh that all in, and by the way, the longest running fantasy football league in the U.S. was just recently celebrated. Their leading scorer the past 10 years, a kicker. I throw that out there because this is where I'm going. I think kickers need to be valued a little bit differently in fantasy football because they're going to be the most consistent points you're going to have every year. I don't wait till round 16, 15, 14. I always try to get them in round 9, 10, and it's because you look at this as like, okay, I could fill a bench for a player that I may not ever see the field but 1 week. Or I could take a kicker, guarantee I get the best opportunity every week for a team that's going to get you the field goals. Dallas gets you field goals. That's why I go Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah.
I get the opportunity. You know, it's a situation where you have the distance, you have the opportunity that he's going to kick field goals, hopefully extra points. I'm not going to account for that because it's Dallas. I'm not going to count that as a positive. But it's a situation where you just, it looks for me, I'm like, I need guaranteed points every week.
Yeah.
I can't have 7 or a 0. Like it needs to be solid. And that's where kickers come in. You got to get them. You got to get them at some point in time. Might as well get them when you can get the good ones.
All right, Kevin, what's your thoughts on the kicker in round 9?
Well,
good argument.
Well, that is a great argument, but my counter to that would be that no one else is thinking that. And so you could wait just a little bit further and still get a quality player at this position. And I would hold off. I get the argument, but I would still hold off. And, Kelsey, you had said earlier, if there were anybody that liked the middle, that you had questions. Well, I believe Brian and I both said last week we'd prefer the middle. So if you have questions, now would be the time.
I do, but I'll leave that one for later. I do want to say, Kevin, to your point about nobody thinking about it, nobody thought about Trayvon in round 2 either. Nobody was thinking Emeka in round 7 and 8. Most of people thinking are 9 and 10. It's a situation where I now pick a kicker, and guess what everybody else starts thinking about?
A kicker. Which
And
then might have other people drop down.
Exactly. I'm going to make somebody overreach for somebody else, and now I have a pick in round 12 that I would have never been able to get. So I agree with Kevin's point. That's how I always used to think about it. It's like, why would I do this when nobody else is thinking about it? And then I started doing it just to see what happens. And you learn that people get distracted by that one thing. It's like the shock. Like GJ taking Ashton Genty in round 1 is the shock, right, of round 1. But now how many people are looking at, okay, well, now what do I need to do to pivot my draft to match that? You do the same thing with a kicker. You do the same thing with any other position here in round 7 through 12. And now your last pick of the draft is a absolute steal and not just maybe this will work. It's somebody that is actually going to give you value at some point in time, whether it be trade or anything else. So
my kicker philosophy, I always stream kickers and defense. I don't usually draft a team or a kicker thinking I'm going to have them all season long. I go matchups and kickers. You'll get a kicker that's good for a while, and then the team finally figures their offense out, or they put in their Jackson Dart quarterback and they start scoring touchdowns or something like that. Happens in the season. So then I make switches bye weeks, because anytime you get a bye week, if you don't have two, you got to drop somebody in most cases, unless you got an injury situation. And it's always like, all right, who do I drop to pick up another kicker? Usually it's the kicker I already have. So it just depends on that. Brian, I want your thoughts on this kicker debate.
It's an interesting theory, and I like the idea of it. What scares me though is, like you said, like you have this free pick in the 12th round. What if one of your guys goes down with an injury, or what if what if you need to make a trade halfway during the year? Well, instead of having that, a player selected in the 9th round, you're replacing with a player selected in the 12th round. It's a great idea in like in a vacuum, but I think with those external factors, it makes me wary of doing it.
What I like most about this is the content. We are a fantasy football show. So Kelsey's given us some great content in round number 9. Let me give a quick rundown here. In round 9, Travis Etienne Jr., Ricky Pearsall, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Brian Robinson Jr. goes 9.5. Brandon Aubrey, the kicker, in 9.6. Jawan Jennings, Evan Ingram, Ramondre Stevenson, Tank Bigsby, Khalil Shakur, Javonte Williams, going to round out round 9. And we start round 10, Kevin, with Keon Coleman. I considered him earlier. Somebody in Buffalo has to catch passes, and we see Shakur go 2 picks before, and then Keon Coleman after there. I'm curious of your how much of this is hope, how much of it is it's round 10, so what does it matter? How much of it is true belief that Keon Coleman can be step up this year for Buffalo?
Well, I was big on him going into last year, and it really didn't happen. And at this point in the draft, I didn't like the players that were around him. And that's the same reason why I took Williams after I just said, I'm not taking him at that particular, but he stayed around all the way to where I was picking him. So I thought there was some value at that point. And as you mentioned, Keon Coleman is somebody has to catch the balls. And I don't really have that big of expectations for any other running or the wide receivers in Buffalo. And so if he takes even a half a step forward, there's some value to be found in this round here.
Yeah, I agree. Kelsey, we're going to let you go. We got Dustin waiting in the background as well. DJ, I'm not sure if you thought he did a great job promoting your stuff or not. So we're going to let you have a swing at it as I go ahead and draft Jordan Love to get my Packer on my team. Second one. I guess I have Golden too. I wasn't planning on that. So anyways, back to you, Kelsey. What do you got going on content-wise right now? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're in the middle of our season preview. We have the East coming up this week. And then we're going to wrap it all up with the North, I believe, next week. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to remember it. We'll see. But we do our preseason predictions. We've had some great moments where we actually pick the right teams. We have some really terrible moments where somebody says the Cardinals are going to be 13-3. This was before the 17-game seasons. So that Cardinals team won 3 games. We have some great moments, but you can find us. DJ already talked about it. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time over on the Belly Up YouTube page. Will be live, or will be aired on Thursday morning, and then live on the social media channels. But yeah, you can check us out on High-Low Sports or at High-Low Sports, high_low_sports on Twitter.
Well, Kelsey, I really appreciate you bringing some different angles to us in this draft as well. Just to recap quickly, Kelsey, currently his team sits at 3 running backs: Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, same bye week, and Isaiah Pacheco. He's got his quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Brock Purdy. His receivers right now, Terry McLaurin and Marvin Harrison Jr. And at tight end, Tyler Warren and Jake Ferguson. And he is the first, and we had a second kicker come off the board, by the way, in the next round. But he was the first one to take a kicker, Brandon Aubrey from Dallas in round 9. Pick number 6 in the 9th round as well. So Kelsey, man, we really appreciate you as always. And I know you guys got another draft coming up next week, I believe. So good luck with all that. And we'll stay tuned throughout the season and get some thoughts.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Hey, kickers are people too. Just remember that.
That's right. Kickers are people.
That's the important part of this. That's the takeaway for you guys. But
Okay.
I seriously appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Kelsey. We'll see you. Kelsey Coyne over there from High Low Sports. Quick rundown of where we are in round 10 now. Keon Coleman, Tajay Spears, Tucker Kraft tied in. That was Brian's pick. I want to talk about him in a moment. Jake Bates, the kicker. Quinshon Judkins, Cam Scatabo, Jake Ferguson, Jordan Addison, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Jordan Mason, Justin Fields. Then we round into the 11th round with Jaden Reed, Bayshaw Tootin, who was that DJ? That was DJ. He talked about him a couple weeks ago when he was on the show as well. And then we've got Kevin Langley Hector Flores on the clock right now. And then he takes, I hate you, Hector Flores. He goes with Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins is the one player in this draft who has been on my podcast. And I figured I was going to get him, and I did not. And there's my first heartbreak of the day. Guys, I don't know who to pick here. I hate all these guys that are currently sitting here where I'm picking. I'm going to go with another tight end probably. I'm guessing here. Yeah, Dalton Kincaid. We'll snag him here as well. All right, let's bring on Dustin. I don't think I've ever been on a show with Dustin before. Dustin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. This is the inaugural voyage for you and I, so I'm glad. Thank you for inviting me on here.
Yeah.
And this draft, I'm realizing that I punted on tight end because it was a fantasy wasteland last year, outside of a few elites. So I kind of decided, I'm gonna do a little different here, but I think it's time to pick a tight end, and so I'm gonna draft one. I'm telegraphing my hand here, but my pick is next, so I figure I'm close enough.
Kelsey's he's already picked 2 tight ends, so you shouldn't have to worry about him snagging another one here. Let's run through real quick Dustin's team. By the way, Dustin is on No Credentials Required. And him and his co-host have had Kevin on most weekends this year. He's also does some of the Seahawks sessions, as well. So far, Dustin's team looks like this. He was the 7th pick overall. CeeDee Lamb, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Daniels, Kenneth Walker, Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, Jalen Waddle, Joe Mixon, Jawan Jennings, Cam Scatabo, and Dallas Goedert. Dustin, when I read through those names, the first thing that I think is it's a safe team, and that's a compliment. Make sure I explain that. I think Scatabo is the first player on there that I go, he's the one guy who hasn't done it yet, and we're not sure what his role is going to be yet. But everyone else on your team has been there, done that, had success, and everywhere you've got them at, you haven't really had to reach for anybody to this point.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get some value picks because there were some people that I wanted, and there's certain players, like I heard you mention that you didn't want Javonte Williams earlier, and I didn't either, but at the part where he was starting to fall, I would have taken him if he was available to me. But that's what I kind of do. I try to go for value picks, but the one that I'm worried about, I think he could have a big season, Kenneth Walker, but he's going to get hurt at some point. So that's why I'm trying to figure it out. Cam Scatabo was a bit of a swing, but I said, you know what? If Walker goes down, and we don't know if Tyrone Tracy has the job on the Giants, Cam Scatabo, he's looked good at points for the preseason. So I'm like, maybe I'll take a little swing here and try to shore up my running backs because K9, I love him, but he's going to get hurt at some point.
Yeah.
Which is why, Dustin, because I'm on the clock right now.
Oh, no, you're going to do it to me.
I'm going to do it. You know what's getting ready to happen right now. Because
no, you're taking them.
I'm taking them.
You're going to be sipping wine, even though I know you're not a big drinker.
There he goes. Okay. And at this point, at the 12th round, let's say this guy is an RB1. Let's just say that. I hope not. For the case, for Seattle Seahawks, both of these guys are healthy. The Seahawks running game is going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That's my prediction right now. They're both healthy, but Kenneth Walker, there are huge questions. I really like him. But if he's not healthy, then Charbonnet is the guy that's going to be RB1. And so there's value here. So that's why I did that.
We've had a ton of tight ends go, by the way, starting in round 8 with Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. Then in round 9 was Evan Ingram. Then in round 10 was Jake Ferguson, Tucker Kraft. Now in round 11, we've had Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry, and sure enough, Kyle Pitts gets drafted.
He did
round
it.
11.
I almost did it. Because Kyle Pitts, he's so tantalizing. They picked him at the fourth overall, and you think every year he's going to do it. But oh man,
Have you ever had him on a fantasy football team before, Dustin?
Too many times. I've had him. I've had him 3 times, and I'm saying to myself, I just can't do it. I can't do it.
At some point, you're just hurting yourself. There's no reason to keep doing it over and over and over again. Brian, I'm intrigued. You go back-to-back tight ends. You got to have. I like having 2 at least, so I like the idea of it. I love Tucker Kraft. I'm a Packer guy, of course, so I love Tucker Kraft. I like Hunter Henry too. Talk about your strategy of waiting till round 10 for tight end and then getting the 2 guys there back-to-back.
Yeah, so for me, Kraft is a boomer bust guy. He's someone that we've seen can be a tight end 1 in fantasy. It's more just consistency. So I was fine taking him in the later round. I think that's a really big upside outside of the top 3 players. And then I want someone with kind of a stable floor. In my opinion, Hunter Henry is that guy. You might not have the receiving numbers, but you can always count on him for at least 6 or 7 touchdowns a year, especially with how he's using the red zone with Josh McDaniels. So you kind of get like the high upside guy and then the high floor guy, and you go from there.
Dustin, one thing we haven't talked about yet, and tonight's draft has been the idea of being a homer on picks. There are a lot of guys really have not been that way, which surprises me a little bit with some of the guys we have in our league. And so I'm intrigued kind of your thought. How do you weigh getting a Seahawk on your team versus taking a guy that's probably better than the Seahawk that you could draft at that spot?
I will admit that I always try to get at least one. I try to get one Seahawk, but the thing is, like, you got to draft. It's cliche, but you got to draft with your head and not your heart. I end up with way too many 49ers every year, way too many Rams, players that I don't particularly like, but I'm like, you know what? I think they're going to do well, but it's different. I mean, I used to, when I played fantasy hockey back in the day, I drafted Alez Hemsky obscenely early because I always wanted him on my team. There's always a couple of players like that. Ryan Smith was one of them, number 94 for the Oilers. I always drafted him, even when he was like on the verge of retirement. I'm drafting Ryan Smith because there's certain guys you just want on your team. So I do fall victim to that sometimes, but for the most part, I try to be pragmatic. I'm a Yankee fan. I've drafted plenty of Red Sox. I'll do it. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to win.
I like it better when the teams I dislike are bad because then it helps me fantasy. I don't even have to worry. There were years. I've been playing fantasy football for 30 years this year. It's my 30th year doing it. And I probably did not have a bear on my fantasy team for 24 years, the first 24 years. Maybe a kicker, Robbie Gould, probably at some point I had. But I don't count kickers are people too. I say, kickers aren't real. It's okay. It doesn't matter. You can have them, So I always liked it when the Bears were bad because I didn't have to worry about drafting anybody from there. Now the Bears are getting better. The Lions have been really good as of late. And the Vikings, I don't have any Vikings on my team this year, but and I won't. But nonetheless, it's not because I'm so much of a homer that I won't do it. I'm going to get you guys' thoughts on this too. I'm drafting Brandon Ayuk here. I've got receivers Jackson Smith and Jigba, Matthew Golden, Travis Hunter, Emeka Egbuka, Deebo Samuel. And I look at Brandon Ayuk as this philosophy of he's injured, not sure when he's going to play. I'll be able to stash him on the IL. And when he does come back, if I have to cut him because he's horrible, okay, whatever. I got him in round 10 or whatever round we're in, 12, or whatever it may be from there. Brian, I'm curious, looking at some of these guys that are injured and now we're kind of getting to that stage. When are you willing to start taking a shot on these guys? I'm
starting willing once my starting lineup is done and I have 2 solid depth guys. So that would be probably round 9 at the 9 or 10. Because I kind of want just an established foundation to know okay, these are the guys that I can count on week in, week out. Then once we get double digits, it's okay to start taking those swings. Maybe reach a little bit because, you think this guy is a lot better and the injury's holding him back. So I think once you get to double digits, you can start taking those injury prone players.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on these injury guys?
Well, if there's a guy that's in this particular situation, let me paint this out, because there's Adam Thielen sitting there, and I like him.
You're thinking what I'm thinking.
Okay, and if I'm looking at this pick, and I like him, he's healthy, I'm going with him based on, because I like his, what he can do. I like his upside. I like that he can provide right out of the gate. And so if there's a player that I like who's healthy, I'm going to do that. And if there are players that I'm like, that are coming up after him, then it's not a reach scenario where you might take somebody like that. And when it comes to Ayuk, I really am leery of him because, the whole history, he was injured and he's still injured. That's a problem to me. And so I would not reach out for him, not because he's not, he's a 49er, but just the injury thing it would be too much for me to get past when I've got Adam Thielen sitting right there. That's what I would have done in that scenario.
Yeah, and I weigh out Ayuk when he comes back. He's wide receiver 1, maybe wide receiver 2. Thielen's wide receiver 3. That kind of mindset as well kind of plays in for it to me a little bit. That's the way I look at it. If we're looking, let's look at the picks and where we're at here. Round 11, Jaden Reed by Schultuten, Jaden Higgins, Dalton Kincaid, Keenan Allen, Xavier Legette, Dallas Goedert, Darnell Mooney, CJ Stroud, who I would have drafted had I looked far enough down, but I forgot about him. Hunter Henry, Kyle Pitts, Zach Charbonnet, round out the round 11. Round 12, Jared Goff goes. Then Bill Krosky, what's his name? I can't. The new running back for Washington, Jacory is his name, but he goes by Bill apparently. Rashid Shaheed, Josh Downs, JJ McCarthy, Tua Tagovailoa, Rashad White, Trey Benson, Brandon Ayuk, Jaden Blue, Dylan Sampson, and Zach Ertz round out round 12 as we turn the corner to round 13 out of 15 rounds in this draft. Dustin, now we're getting to the end of the draft. So what are you looking at? And I know you still have picks to make. So,
yeah.
But what's kind of your strategy, end of draft strategy compared to beginning of draft strategy?
So at the end of the draft, I kind of look and see in areas where I'm a little thin, and this is where I start trying to take, like you said, I usually tend to draft safe teams, and then this is where I take my swings. I have a pick in mind, and if I give too much away, it's going to explain exactly who it is. But I have multiple options, but there is a running back in Cleveland that is a little uncertain. So I'm thinking of taking somebody who is already on the team and could see most of the early action, because that I'll actually get some value from the late round picks. That's what I'm trying to do, is like sneaky value picks. Or like Kevin was talking about earlier, I would have taken Thielen here if he was available, because if I stash somebody that's injured and I think has a little bit more upside, no offense to Adam Thielen, but then he's my first cut. If I have to make like a roster move. So those are the types of players I'm looking for here.
I like it. So everyone's going to start taking defense and kicker here pretty soon. Even with that philosophy, I'm still going to take my backup quarterback here. Just because you look at the bye week, I've got Jordan Love bye week in week 5. Plus he's had some injury concerns over the last couple of years. And I talked about loving Jackson Smith and Jigba this year because everyone hates on Sam Darnold. I'm the one of the guys who don't hate on Sam Darnold. So I'm taking Sam Darnold.
There's 3 of us here that are not hating on Sam Darnold. I think we're pretty safe in saying that.
So I got him in round 13 to round out my quarterback spot. Now all I've got left is kicker and defense to fill, which is a large majority of us. That's what we have left to fill going forward. So let's see here. Sam Darnold, Jalen Wright, Adam Thielen gone off the board. Before that, Marvin Mims, Texans defense, Tyler Algier, which is a really solid pick at 13, Hector, I think at least there. Then we're going Jerome Ford, which is who Dustin was talking about just a second ago on the roster, probably will be the starting running back for most of the season, at least in the early spots of the season. And then another Brown goes off the board after that, Cedric Tillman. and now we're Blaine, Brian, Antonio, and Kevin up to round out the 13th round. Brian, you're sitting here. You've got some spots to fill still. Are you going to start filling, or are you going to go ahead and go somewhere else and fill that kicker defense later?
I'm going to just fill the kicker and defense right now. Going with
Okay.
my defense with the Broncos. I like their secondary. I think they have a lot of upside with their interception, particularly the pick six. So I like that upside from them.
All right. And Kevin, I'm curious. Now you go back to back here. So are you going to go kicker defense here, or you got another guy you want?
No, I'm going to get the guy that I like, whoever that is. Okay.
Well, it's your
because
pick.
I'm picking back to back, so I'm going to take the defense on the turn coming back.
Okay.
And so I'm looking at this.
Trevor Lawrence is gone. Broncos defense, Nick Chubb, all gone. I love the Nick Chubb.
Okay, so Nick Chubb, just to put this out there, was the guy that I was looking for.
Yeah.
I think there could be tons of value
Agreed.
at that particular spot. But he's off the board. So I'm going to go ahead because I only have one tight end on my team. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Strange from Jacksonville that I spoke highly about.
Yep.
And now I'm on the board. And should I be a homer? Dustin?
I don't think you should. Because I want to.
Okay. So
that's a great reason.
Okay. So I like the Seahawks defense. I like it a lot. But I like the Raven defense a little better. So therefore, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Baltimore defense.
Let's talk defensive strategy, because we have not talked about defense on our show yet this year. Dustin, we'll start with you on this one. What are you looking for in defense? You talk about maybe a little homer, you get a pick here that you like, maybe, whatever. But as far as looking for a defense, what are the key things you're looking at?
I'm looking for a defense that I think can generate a lot of turnovers. Even if they give up a lot of points, to me, I want like bigger plays from my defense. I want a defense that I think can sack the quarterback. I want defense that is going to cause fumbles, do things. The Vikings, I usually stay away from them. And the Steelers, I will admit I have an irrational dislike for the Steelers. I try not to draft any Steelers if I possibly can, but it looks like that my beloved Seahawks went off the boards here. So I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Lions defense because I think they've got a few players that can get after the quarterback, and I'm looking for sacks and turnovers. Even if they give up a lot of points, at least I feel I'll get some points from the sacks, turnovers, and things of that nature. So,
Brian, what's your defensive philosophy?
So just like Dustin said, you kind of look for guys that the big play, the turnovers. I also like well-coached defenses. Like I remember for years, New England was always a lock for me because they would always get you, they would always project like 6 points and somehow end up with like 12 to 13. It was just however Belichick coached those schemes, that's how it went. So, you look for that, look like Sean Payton's defense, where they got the Broncos. Maybe you look into like a Vrabel defense if you really think the Patriots. But those well-coached defenses, I like a lot.
Yeah, Vic Fangio, back in the day, the Rex Ryan, those kinds of guys, for sure. Kevin, thoughts on defensive strategy?
Well, I didn't do that here, but one of the things I like to do is see what defenses, who they're playing early on.
Okay. Matchups.
Because there are some, if you're playing a team that's got an awful offense, maybe back-to-back.
Yeah.
Because you talked about earlier about streaming your defense.
Yeah.
And in a 12-team league like us, we could do that. And so I must confess that I did not do that in this case. And so I don't even know who the Ravens are playing in their first game.
Yeah.
And if I had known that might have changed my philosophy a little bit. But when you're on the board, that's the kind of thing that I think you need to be aware of, just like bye weeks, as we talked earlier. Who are the first teams are they playing?
Yeah.
And if you're playing, let's say, just off the top of my head, let's say they're Tampa Bay. That's maybe a defense you don't want to go ahead and go with in week one. Okay, so just that's just kind of the way I look at it. And before we get because Dustin, this is a question I want to ask you because you were number 7 and had CD Lamb sitting there. If that was me, I would have been jumping to the moon. He was still there at number 7.
I mean, I was happy specifically because it's a PPR league, right? So, he is their offense until somebody else proves otherwise. And I mean, I don't think the marriage with George Pickens is going to go well. So
don't say that because I drafted him. So stop that.
Right. But I just know that CeeDee Lamb is still going to be the focal point of the offense. And you could say what you want about Dak Prescott. Is he going to choke in the playoffs? Yes, if the Cowboys get there. But regular season wise, he's fine. And
Right.
CD is going to be his primary target for most of the regular season. So I was thrilled. And I went quarterback a little early because I'm not going to be elite. I've missed out on some of the elite running backs. So sometimes I figure I may as well be elite at one position if I'm missing out on another one. So that's why I went Jaden Daniels too, because I think he's going to have another big year and he could do a lot with his legs. But you're right, Kevin. CeeDee Lamb, as much as I dislike the Cowboys, I was thrilled to get him.
I like it a lot. Dustin, we appreciate you coming on, man, and enjoyed this. I know you've got a couple different platforms that you show up on the Belly Up Sports Network. Tell everybody where they can catch you, when they can catch you, and social media-wise, where they can catch you.
All right. Well, as you just said, I am on No Credentials Required with Ryan McCarthy, my captain. And a lot of times, especially in the summer, we've had Kevin on for our Baseball with Kevin segment. The show is Tuesdays at 6:30 Eastern. We also go live at 10 a.m. on Saturdays Eastern time. And I'm also on Seahawks Sessions with Kevin. So Kevin and I have been talking a lot.
That's right. That's right.
And that's live most Fridays once the season starts. And the time varies a little bit, but it's usually around 7:30, 8 Eastern, depending on everybody's schedules.
That's right. You just don't know what you're going to get into when you join the Seahawks Sessions show because who knows? It goes all over the place. We could talk about root beer. We could talk about all kinds of stuff. So it's not just the Seahawks. So join us over there. We talk about the NFL as well. So it's a great time. Dustin and I and Mr. BS over there. So check us out on Friday night.
I love it. Dustin, thank you, man. I really appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me. I loved it.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later on in the season, too, and check in on your team, how everything's going.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, we'll see you. Dustin, again, catch him over there. No credentials required as well. Guys, we're getting ready to wrap up the draft here. Let me quickly get through a couple of these picks. Round number 14 went like this. Ravens defense, Vikings defense. Cameron Dicker, the kicker. Steelers defense, Seahawks defense. Lions defense. Luther Burden III. Patriots, Packers, Eagles defenses. Chase McLaughlin. Bills defense. Then in the final round, Jason Sanders, Kyle Williams. Well, that's a great pick there in round 15. Tyler Bass, Kaimi Fairbairn, Jake Elliott, Buccaneers defense, Harrison Butker, Chris Boswell, and my screen just changed. So I'm going to miss the last few. Kairos, they're all kickers to end out the round there. There we go. Let's see here. Almost all kickers. Where'd they go? I just lost my last round of the draft. So anyways,
I just picked, and so now you can't see it. So
thanks a lot, Kevin.
Well, I was on.
Oh, here it is. All right, I got it back. Jake Elliott, Buccaneers defense, Harrison Butker, Chris Boswell, Rashad Bateman, Bryce Young, Brian Germinaro lands him in round 15, Cam Little, and Cairo Santos. So real quick, I want to go your favorite pick that you got on your team. So think about that for a second. We had some great guests on tonight. Sure appreciate them coming on. A 12-man Belly Up League. We'll talk about it all season long right here on the Belly Up Fantasy Live football show. Brian, your favorite pick that you got in this draft?
That's a tough one. I want to say like Mike Evans because, like we said in the show, he's kind of fantasy gold. But I think I'm going to go with Tanks Bixby. I got him in the later rounds. I think around like round nine. Yep. Yeah, I got him round 9. He's someone that I think is going to take over RB1 this year in Jacksonville. He's going to be a focal point of that offense. He could be a real steal for you in these mid rounds.
And I like your Roma Dunze pick, by the way. I think that's going to be really solid as well. And the value at Bryce Young at 15, I mean, you can't beat that.
Oh, no, not at all. That's why you wait on quarterbacks, because you get a Bryce Young at 15.
Yeah. Kevin, your favorite pick on your team?
Okay, so I could be once again accused of being a homer, but I think there's tons of value with Charbonnet where I took him that late in the draft. And I hope it's not, because as I talked about earlier, if he's a great pick, that means something's wrong with Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
So I hope that isn't. But for that late in the draft, and I needed some because I didn't get many running backs. And so, but if he's an RB1, that's a home run pick to me right here.
Yeah, and I like your Brenton Strange pick at tight end too. I got a little scared, so I went with my second tight end a little earlier and wasn't willing to get Strange at that point. And it's a great pick, though. I looked at him as a possible late round option as well when I was preparing for the draft, so I like that one a lot too. For me, it's the young guys. I'm really happy I got Trayvon Henderson. That's something I was targeting coming into this pick, and then Emeka Egbuka as well, getting him in round number 8. I was happy with that too. I feel like he's going to establish himself at least as wide receiver 2 this year, if not wide receiver 1. And I thought it was funny that Bridgewater comes into camp, and when he first saw him, he thought he was the tight end. And it's like, no, he's not the tight end. So that's intriguing to hear that take as well. But I don't know. All right, guys, let's talk about any major surprises in this draft. I don't know if you've got it in front of you where you can see all that or remember anything like that. But is there anything that stood out to you if you're like, that was a head scratcher? Brian, anything that stood out like that?
Nothing on some. I mean, I think Nate taking Tyreek at the beginning of the 3rd round was a little crazy. I think that's more of his name value than like what you're actually seeing. I think he's more of like a late 3rd round, maybe early 4th round pick. But outside of that, I think things went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Kevin, what about you?
Well, I thought that your pick as you talked about with Henderson going as early as he did was a surprise to me. So he's the guy that out of all these guys that were drafted that I'm going to be watching just to see, because this has the potential of being a home run guy for you. And then it has the potential of really going sideways.
Sure.
And I'm predicting it's not going to go sideways. But as I said, I would have probably tried to target him at the 3rd round because you were pretty close to that turn. So he's a guy that I'm really interested to see because I like him.
Yeah.
And he was a guy that I had listed. We talked about guys that rose in last week, after week 1 of who rose more than him.
Right.
So I'm really interested to see how this plays out in the regular season.
The one that stood out to me was the Brian Robinson Jr. draft that was in round 9. Kevin Langley took him. There's
way
just
too early.
There's so much going on with him right now. I mean, the chances that he's even with Washington is slim, like very slim. Like I would say 0.5%. Like it's
about cutting him. They're talking about cutting him. He might have got a team week 1.
So then it all depends.
He might be working, with one of those signs along the freeway. So we don't know.
Well, he'll get picked up. The question is where and in what role will
by
he
whom? Yeah, that's the key question. Because he has value.
Yeah,
I do believe. But if he gets picked up by guys that already have 3 running backs, then that value is going to be stunted. So
right.
I would certainly not have done that.
Place like Baltimore where Derrick Henry is going to get 80% of the snaps. Those kind of places too.
Right.
You're banking on he gets put in the right situation. I'm not sure that he does, but all right, gents, it was a fun draft. First one for me, super fun. First real one. So I'm excited about that. We'll see how we got more coming up. I'm in 3 other leagues, I think 3 or 4 other leagues. I don't even remember. Yeah. So
I'm in at least 4
for football
counting. So
yeah. So we'll see. All right, Kevin, tell everybody about your content, where you're at, where they can find you, what you're putting out this week.
Okay. As we just heard from Dustin on Friday, we'll be talking Seahawks sessions. We'll be looking back at the Kansas City game, what stood out to us, what are we looking for going forward, and who knows what other hijinks we might get into that day. And then Sunday, you and I will be back with the fantasy baseball show. We're getting once we get to Sunday, there's 1 week remaining. In our league, in our Dynasty League, the playoff starts next week. I don't know if you were aware of that or not.
Yep.
And so playoffs are right here, so you definitely want to check us out on that show. And of course, you want to come over and check out on the Belly Up website, articles aplenty over there. And as we talked about, I just dropped an article about the bye weeks, and we discussed that here. So you need to check that out. And who knows what other articles might be coming forward. So get over to the Belly Up website, and you can always find me at Twitter at Kevin62 WILSEA.
All right, Brian, Daniel Jones is still available. He can be a waiver wire pickup week 1. We'll talk about that as we get closer to the real season. But talk to us about your content, where you're at this week, what's going on.
Yeah, so like always, you can find me at Brian PG1016. You find all my writings for the various websites over there. 3rd and 10 podcast episode dropped today. We recap Giants Jets from the weekend, week 2 preseason, and then the Mets. And funny enough, me and Nate are actually playing each other in week 1 in this fantasy draft, and we are separated by a 10th of a point. So should make some great content coming up.
I love it. Me and Kevin are going week 1 against each other also, for what it's worth. So that'll be fun. All right. You can follow me on social media at Sports Stove. I got my show coming out Thursday. We got a lot of college football talk coming up. Week 0 is here. So Thursday on the Sports Stove.
Unbelievable. We're at college football already.
Yes. So at the Sports Stove Football Show, you can find it on the Belly Up Sports socials live Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. And you can always find it afterwards on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel or the Sports Stove Football Show podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Sunday, we'll be back talking fantasy baseball. Tuesday, we'll be right back here talking more fantasy football, getting you ready for your draft and our other drafts and all those good things as well. He's Kevin Wilson up on the top. He's Brian Germinaro right there. I'm Vince Stover. We sure appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live. A great draft season.
That's right.